To check hypothesis and idea, startups always build an MVP. MVP is a minimal viable product, and it's always used to collect the feedbacks of the clients. And today we will speak with Chris, our CTO of Frontend House in Liki.
Hey guys, nice to see you.
Nice to see you too. So let's start. Are you ready to start?
Of course I am.
So my first question is, does every business need an MVP?
It's quite a tricky question, and that is the first
Of course
question.
it is tricky.
And it's the first question, so I am very surprised, but I don't think so. I don't think that every kind of business needs an MVP, but most of them, especially startups, do. Because they need to verify the idea, they need to verify the, business needs behind their application. With MVP, it's very easy for them to deliver kind of ready to production product and to verify idea with the investors. So I would say 90% of startups, they really need MVP version of the application. If you have internal app or app that you use for managing your resources in the company, I wouldn't say you need MVP. You just need the product that you will use with your needs. Yeah, I think that's the answer.
Thank you for the answering. How do we define an MVP at Liki and Frontend House? I mean, how it looks like, the process of creation.
Okay, the process is quite straightforward. So we started with workshops. Workshops are the most important step in your process because they will help you to understand what you actually want to produce, what resources you need. They will show you how everything will look like. But to be honest, after the workshop, you really understand what you actually want to create. So we start from the workshop. We meet together. We sit together couple days, 1, 2, 3, depending on how big the product is. And after the workshop, we create documentation with user flow, documentation with your personas that will use your product, basic charts, user experience, user interface, and that will it's the next very important step in the MVP creation, because from that you understand the product, we understand the product, we can estimate development, and we can assign proper development team, because when we know we have proper scope of everything, we can pick up best developers from our company, check who will the best in your product delivery. So we complete the team and start development, which is first step. And from this point, we also need your help with MVP creation, because you as a client, you are very important on every step of MVP. So from this point, we start development and we meet together every week or every 2 weeks, and we show you our progress, we collect your feedback, and having this feedback, we can be sure that when we deliver MVP, everything is aligned with your needs, with your requirements. And from this point, I would say MVP is done, and we don't need to do nothing apart from collecting feedback from the user. So we can prepare user testing for you, and we ask user to check if everything is working correctly, no one is lost in using application, everyone knows what to do while using your application. That's also actually very important step in the MVP creation. And the last one is for you to find investors, because it's from my experience, it's much easier to go to investors and show you see, I built this, I know everything I need to do, I just need money. So it's a lot of easier going to investors and asking for funds when you have something that is called MVP, then you just go with head full of ideas.
Wow, You just explained everything just right now. Great.
Yeah. Are we done?
Not yet.
Okay.
I have more questions for you. What does clients have to deliver to developers to start the process of MVP creation? Or the team will help to define core features and other important stuff during the workshop?
There are different kinds of clients. Like there are some clients that they have like basic documentation, they have like flow charts, like they have a lot of things prepared up front. So they like reach us and they have like, full scope, I would say. But there are also like clients that have just idea and that's it. Idea. Of course, we have both of them. And again, it's the first step that we need to go like together. So up front of this, we will send you like a lot of the documents. So you will need to fill them yourself, like a question about your application, about your business, about your competitors. So that will help you to understand everything. So like you have this idea, we deliver you a bunch of tools to write everything because we need to prepare to the workshop as well. And once you hand over all the documents to us, we have like 1 or 2 weeks to prepare the team for the workshops. And on the workshops, we like come to you with like ready ideas, ready solutions, and then we discuss everything. I will say you don't need anything to reach us. We will help you to start everything from scratch. If you have something that is also helpful, and we can pick up from that.
If you have an idea, you can reach us via contact form on frontendhouse.com. And Chris will help you to create your MVP of your project. My next question is large team of developers needed for creating an MVP? And what team members are needed?
I will start with team members. It's the easier question. At the very beginning, we need a user experience designer, we need user interface designer, we need project manager, and we need a technical leader. And this team will help you with the workshops. That's the 4 people that will join your workshop. So the first step of creating MVP, and they will help you like define the scope, define all the documents. And they will work with you like for all MVP creation. So depending on the scope and how big is your project, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 or 6 months, or even more. Really, like it depends on your ideas and how big the project is. So yeah, we have this workshop, we created everything we need, and then it's time to like pick up developers. So we always have this team composition that every MVP has technical leader who will make sure everything is done properly with all like the code base and like everything we use is up to date, it follows all the rules that will, and it's very important actually, like following the like best practices because once you like, I don't know, you are the startup, so you at some point you will need to build your own team and like it's quite tricky for developers to check somebody else's code. So if we follow the rules that for your team, it will be much easier to like to start and develop more and more features after all. So there is technical leader role. There is also project manager who supervise everything for the production and the development team. And development depends on budget, depends on the scope, and on timeline, of course, because you might be already set up with some investors that, I don't know, you have a meeting in 2 months, so we need to calculate how big team you need. It might be 1 developer or it might be 5 developers, but we take care of this. So it's not straightforward answer, like how many developers I need. You need to leave it with us, to be honest. So once we know the scope and once we know the deadline, we can like decide how many developers you need, and it's not that easy question, and not that easy answer.
And by the way, if you want to listen more about team roles at development process, you can check Przemek's interview. So link will be here, or here,
or in the description.
Right. And it is something more you wanted to say about?
About this question, no, thank you.
Okay, great, thank you. So, what are the biggest challenges while building an MVP?
For us as a developer, there are no challenges.
No, absolutely not.
Just kidding. Of course, there is. Every project is different. Every project has its own issues, its own like crazy ideas. So the real challenge at the beginning is to understand everything and define this to make sure like we are building what you really need and what your customers will need. That's the biggest challenge actually. Of course, during the development there are like more like challenges with team composition, with some features that might be like unique, like nobody else created them before, or like that kind of stuff. But we are developers and we handle this, and we love that kind of challenges, to be honest, because that makes our work excited. Yeah, so for me as like manager, the most important and the biggest challenge is to understand all your needs, is understand you, and to scope everything. So after all, you'll be happy with the final or the MVP product.
So the biggest challenge is to understand crazy ideas, but I think you like crazy ideas, right?
Of course I do. I mean, that's is something that makes me happy. I mean, challenges is like the thing I live for.
Chris lives for crazy ideas.
Exactly.
And what is the next step? We developed an MVP. We collected the feedback. What's next?
You collected the feedback, and it's very important to collect the feedback because after all, it's not you who will use your application, but it's your clients. So once you collect the feedback, of course, we need to revise this feedback. We need to check what makes sense, what's not. And I strongly recommend to implement this feedback. Otherwise, you will be getting that kind of feedback all over it. So yeah, we go. We set up the team again. We implement the feedback, at least that one that makes sense, because not all the features that comes from the feedback, they really make sense, because it might be like issue just for one person who is like maybe not super like your target, I don't know. So we like filter this, we implement this, and you have and there is a time to think what's actually like the next step, because you have MVP, you have like your feedback implemented, so you might want to go to your investors. I think it's like the best time to collect the funds. Once you have a funds, you might decide if you want to create your own development team, like start with your development, which is not bad idea, because I mean, it's much easier for you, for the investors, to manage your internal team. But if you decide to like continue to work with us, we are of course happy to help you. And again, we decide what left to be implemented, because MVP is not everything. It's like the main core features, and some of the features might be like grayish to inform the user there is something new coming, or maybe you have like, after meeting with the investors, maybe you have like more requirements, more, maybe it surely passed like 2 or 3 months, so maybe you have like more and more ideas, so you can pick up from them and continue with development process and deliver more and more features for you.
Have you ever met the situation when it is too much feedback and you don't know which one has to be implemented?
No, to be honest, once we understand everything, and we always try to design things like thinking about the end user. So I wouldn't say like we get that much of like feedback that we can't handle this. It's usually like couple things to improve, and they are always very good points, to be honest. It's not like we check the feedback, that doesn't make sense. It's always like very good points, because you can't think about like everyone during the design process. So we are really happy to collect this feedback, and we are really happy to implement this feedback. It makes applications great, actually.
Nice. What are the main and the most popular mistakes of clients? What they do wrong?
I'm sure that you as a client, you are never wrong. Sorry guys, I'm laughing, and not because I'm mean, but there are some situations that we could understand each other better. But the one thing that I wouldn't say that drives us crazy, but it's always like kind of maybe a little bit annoying that we have like this workshop, we create everything, we have like full scope, we decide on like design system, typography, everything, and I don't know, you show the app for someone who is not even like related to IT, not related to your business, and he say, oh, I will do this different, and you come back to us with I had this kind of situation once, like that after showing application to the like parents or someone, they thought that they will do this differently, and the feedback was like to start from scratch basically. So that you really need to trust us, because we are experts and we know what to do, and that's why you have this MVP. That's why you have like the feedback session with the end users and with the investors, so you can collect the feedback and decide needs to be this code, what needs to be added, an extra feature, and changes in the design system and that kind of stuff. So I would recommend to leave it for the very end, for this feedback session. Other than that, there is like nothing really like wrong with clients. I wouldn't like name that. We are always happy like if there is like situation that is a challenge for us. We are always happy to like deal with this challenge and help you guys to produce the best applications as we can.
But maybe there could be some mistakes, like when clients want too much features in MVP, for example.
Yeah, that's us. Actually a very good point. That it's usually happened that during the workshop we sit together and we decide what needs to be done for MVP and what needs to be done for a final product. And for you as a client, it's always like you want to have everything in MVP, and it's not like how MVP works. You really need to focus on the main like core features. You need to decide what is most important for your clients. Maybe like, I don't know, adding avatar, maybe like changing your name inside application, or having, I don't know, awards for your user that happens after a year of using the application. Maybe it's not that important for MVP, but the payment system, like, buying flow and that kind of features, maybe they are much more important than something that will happen for user that, I don't know, after a month of using the application. Yes, that's a very good point. Clients wants to have too much scope in the MVP.
Experts from Frontend House will help you to define core features to create and to build in your MVP.
Just listen to us.
I think I'm ready to build an MVP, to let experts build an MVP for my startup. If you are, you know where to find us. Here. Thank you, Chris, for visiting our studio and such precious information. Thank you.
Thank you for having me. It was a pleasure, and it was nice to see you guys again.
Nice to see you. You can watch our videos and visit our social medias. You know where to reach us. Thank you, Chris. Bye. See ya.
See ya.
Yay.